Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. I am on location. I'm at my beautiful friend Asia's lovely home in Cabo. And yes, you can see this is a fabulous pink room, just like the Barbie movie, which I think is coming out. Is it coming out today? Anyway, I'm living in the Barbie room, and this is a hot pink themed room, perfect for recording Juicy Scoop in. If you're watching it on YouTube, of course. Again, had great shows in San Diego. Next up is going to be uh, Napa in July. Saturday, Napa in July. Make sure you come to see. I am so enjoying my new stand up material. It's very topical, just like Juicy Scoop, and I'm loving it. And then, of course, I will be at Irvine Improv, which I always love performing at the Irvine Improv, August 4th, 5th, and 6th. 6th being live Juicy Scoop, 4th and 5th being stand up. So completely different shows. Justin Martindale is joining me for the stand up. So please get your tickets at heathermcdonald.net. Okay, let's get into it. Following up on some topics from the previous shows, Ryan Seacrest has announced he will be the new host of Wheel of Fortune. I also want to apologize to my friend Fortune Feimster. I cannot believe that when Chris and I talked about who should host Wheel of Fortune, that we did not think about Fortune. Also, because once Fortune joined our show, because she came a little bit after Chris and I on the show, Chelsea Lately, Chris would constantly pitch this sketch idea of where he wanted Fortune to come out and call it Wheel of Fortune and put like a fortune thing around her face. We might have even done it. Anyway, they did go with Ryan Seacrest, and I think that was the right choice, and I'll tell you why. He's 48 years old, but obviously very young and youthful, and 48's not what it used to be. This is the kind of show they want to hire someone that's going to do it for the next 30 years. And Ryan is a healthy guy. God willing, he could probably do it till he's 80, and the audience is a little bit of an older audience. So I think it's good they went with someone in their late 40s. Ryan Seacrest, in all of years of doing American Idol, in all the years of social media and his relationships and all of that, he's still not married. There has never been a scandal. He has never said something that someone said I was offended by it. He's never done an interview that went viral and was bad. He is a very safe choice. Besides that, he's a super hard worker. He's one of those people that early on in his career, he never turned down any job. He kind of modeled his career after Merv Griffin and worked with Merv Griffin and was like, I'm going to, always work no matter how hard it is, no matter how early I have to get up. He absolutely is not a flake. And I think more and more, thank God, hopefully for me, who is recording, as I'm having vacation, summer vacation with my kids. Hopefully people that really work hard and deliver will be the people that are rewarded more and more, especially in Hollywood. And I definitely think he's one of them. Now, the question is that why he did a mutual goodbye, is what we were told, or was it his choice to leave Kelly Ripa? I don't know. I would think that something this big, he probably knew he either had or was in the running, because he is such an obvious perfect choice when you think about it. Some of the other people we talked about that were running on it, like Whoopi Goldberg, I thought Chris and I both said in that show, we thought she'd be a good choice. However, she is older and she's really crotchety, and she admits to being like lazy. She's admitted to saying on The View, I'm just picking up a paycheck some days. Like, I don't care. I'm going to make all the money I can make. That's not the enthusiasm you want for the show. Now, Vanna White is 66 years old. She's the woman who turns the letters. And a story came out about her in which she's been doing it for many, many years. But for the last 18 years, she's made $3 million a year. However, she's never had a raise in 18 years. It's been $3 million every year. But now she's negotiating a contract, and she, according to Page Six or whoever, got a really good lawyer. Really? Just now you're thinking of that. Now, $3 million is a lot of money. And what also is great about doing these type of shows, these game shows, Family Feud, whatever, they film several in a day. So it makes it, economically really great because you have the crew for 8 hours, but you're getting 3 or 4 episodes out of the show. And then, actually, you'd have the crew for like more like 10 or 12, I think is the union standard. And then for the host, they like it because they're knocking it out. They're knocking it out. And so even though this show is on every night, they're not working, 52 weeks a year or even 30 weeks a year. Normally they can like get it all done in like 5 or 6 weeks or something short like that. So, another reason why you want a professional host, which let me tell you something. Hosting is hard. Reading a teleprompter, hearing something in your ear, keeping it moving, not flubbing, being really focused is a hard job to do. And there's only a few people that are really, really good at it. And Ryan is one of them. And I think this will be a much more pleasurable job and a much easier job than what he had with Kelly. Because with Kelly, he did have to prepare. He did have to like laugh at her jokes or be interested about her having sex with her husband or what her kids said to her when she got home from college, or he had to be up on some pop culture things. This way, he just comes, boom, does it. Now, he also said Vanna is working on her contract and she's got 1 year left on her contract. So, providing she decides not to leave, again, she's has a wonderful life. She's worked very hard. Um, but do you want to give up something that fun and easy and relevant like that, job? Um, so I think she'll do the last year. I don't think the contract will be renewed. This is just my prediction. And I don't think they should just get rid of the person that turns the letters because I think people are used to that watch the show and I think it's fun. I think what might be kind of fun for if Vanna leaves is to have celebrities like once a week, different celebrities or different shows. They maybe do a whole week, Heather McDonald, hi Ryan, and I'm turning the letters, I'm making a couple jokes. Who's it going to be this week? And I think that could be kind of a fun idea maybe for the first year and then get like a permanent host. It could be Dylan Mulvaney. I don't know. I don't know if a lot of people are surprised that they did, go with a white straight male in this day and age. But I think it's not about that. And I think it's people are going back to just choosing who is the most perfect choice for the job. And I believe that is Ryan Seacrest. So there you go with that. Guys, I'm back to tell you about how much I am loving Seed. This is your DS-01 Daily Symbiotic. This is a prebiotic and a probiotic all in one easy pill. And I am telling you guys, it has changed my life. I've never really understood when people talk about why they need pre and probiotics. This is the best. Their via cap delivery system really ensures that these live probiotics survive the harsh journey through your intestines into your colon. Let's just be frank, you guys. I'm having better bowel movements. They're more regular. I mean, like every morning regular. And that's making a difference in my energy, in my mood, and in my skin. I feel better. I look better. And what I also really love about Seed is that it's renewable, energy efficient. It's fully recyclable. When you get refills, they come in this little package and then you can just refill it in the bottle that you already have. So such little waste. Go to www.seed.com to get 30% off at checkout of your DS-01 Daily Symbiotic. That's right. It's code JUICY for 30% off your first month. A lot of people, I promised you that I would review, and just like that, second season, 2 episodes out and just like that. And I think the third show is out tonight. This is on Max, short for HBO Max. And I did talk about it on a Patreon episode, but I am going to go through it. Now, I'm going to say some shocking things because a lot of people are like, I cannot wait to hear Heather's opinion and the Che Diaz and her horrible stand-up. And Miranda was like, had a scene with a strap on. I'm going to get into all of that. I'm going to tell you what I didn't like about the show, and then I'm going to tell you what I liked about it. So let's get into it. Now, coming up in this season, which is exciting, is we're going to see the return of Aiden, Carrie's old boyfriend and fiance. And there's this call with Samantha Jones, which coincidentally, she's got her show on Netflix that also aired last week, the same day. And I have not seen it. I think it's about fashion or something. I have not heard great things about it, but I have not watched it. So they have these new friends They got 3 new friends to replace one Samantha Jones. Mm, hey, I like threesomes. Didn't know I was 3 people. Yeah, and none of them are funny, really, and nothing great. So the worst one is this woman who is a professor. I'm not criticizing the actress. Her acting is good. The storyline makes no sense. We don't care. So she was Miranda's professor, and even though Miranda has gone to LA to chase her non-binary stand-up comic pilot filming Che Diaz, they're talking on the phone all the time, which makes absolutely no sense because they have nothing in common. And she, the professor, thinks that her husband, who is um, a musician, is cheating on her, and she has only her scenes by herself on the phone. It makes no sense. I don't know what they were going to do with this woman, but I would get rid of that. It's too many people, too many storylines, and it's not interesting. I literally was skipping through it. The next uninteresting person, I'm sorry, I know people like her. It's the realtor. She's boning some guy. He has, he has a wife still. She's not Samantha Jones. She's a good actress, but she's not funny. There's nothing funny about her. I don't care. There was a line where she is with Carrie, and Carrie goes, it's like every year in my 20s, I kept thinking I wanted to stay the summer in the Hamptons, but I didn't. And she's like, what stopped you? Bethany Frankel. Well, of course, Bethany loved that. And, did Andy Cohen know about it? Because he and Carrie are best friends. No, I think it was just probably they did the scene a bunch of times. They threw that in, and that's the one they chose, knowing that it would get some people buzzing, which it did. And of course, Bethany loved it. Okay. Now the next person is Nicole Parker, is the actress, and she's a documentarian, and her husband is madly in love with her, and they're super rich. And her problem is that he always wants to have sex with her, and he also always wants to give her money. And that's annoying. What? Okay. And then she's got a mean, rich mother-in-law. Really not interesting, except that she's pretty to look at and she does have great clothes. Then we have Charlotte. I'm doing an order of least interesting to interesting. Then we have Charlotte and her daughter, Lily, who is the daughter that she adopted, who's like perfect. Now she doesn't want to do classical piano anymore. She wants to do a Billie Eilish type of thing. Really boring. The other girl, Rocky, is just, we don't know what she's doing, if she is identifying as a boy or just like a gay teenager. I don't know. So that's that. Again, too many kids, don't care. And oh, thank God we have Mario Cantone in it. Please, I hope he has more scenes. He's funny. Now we have, I cannot believe I'm saying this, but I watched the show with my son Drake, who is 20, and he goes, Mom, I can't believe it. The only interesting thing in this show is Che and Miranda. I'm like, I know. And Che Diaz, she is a good actress. Sarah Rodriguez, I forgot her name, but the actress who plays Che is a good actress. Much better this season than last, because I feel like I know her. And her story is they are in LA and she's filming her pilot. Everybody is saying, where the hell did Miranda go? I said this last season. She's like a dork. She's a geek. She's out of touch. She's like a fumbling old lady. And they have no chemistry. It makes no sense. But once again, she's just, madly in love with Che. And every scene is them going down on each other. A lot of nude stuff with Miranda, which is interesting because we never saw her nude 20 years ago in the show. She'd be like screwing some guy after the gym and keep her like jog bra on. But now full naked, full bush Miranda Hobbs. And as they're getting ready to have sex with a strap on, and she's trying out different dildos and trying on the strap-ons because she's a newbie to being a lesbian, we're watching it, and Carrie calls, and Carrie's just laughing like, oh, you two silly people. I can't say gals. You two silly people, just as if they were like, hi, we're putting together an IKEA, dresser. Sorry, just I'm going to put you on speaker while we like get our screws together. Anyway, literally screws. So that was, people were dying over that, but it's like, you can't look away. You can't, because this is the only interesting thing in the show. Then, of course, I predicted that Tony Danza being Italian would be a problem because she is supposed to be she is Mexican and Irish. So I loved that whole storyline where Tony Danza says, "Hey, I don't want to be canceled by playing a Mexican. So I talked to the network. We're going to make you half Italian and we're going to switch it and we're going to switch the character for the grandmother." All of that is 100% real. I have been there. I sold a show when I was 30 years old about my life, living with my parents who are realtors, and I was the young realtor girl. And this before any shows were about real estate, before any reality shows existed. I wrote a scripted show about my life and living with my two brothers who were living at home at 40 and all the things that would happen that were really funny because they were not setting the world on fire. We sell the show. Every time I pitch the show, every place loved it. Bidding war, we sell the show. The writer comes in, talks to the studio, and is like, "Hey, we're going to make both your brothers one brother, and we're going to make him 18. And I go, "Well, that's not funny. Like an 18-year-old that hasn't like found himself or isn't like setting the world on fire and is not that bright isn't funny." And also they're like, my one brother was he is white and he was into rap and he had this name and everything. And that was very funny 20 years ago, but it was 100% true that my brother who used to be into heavy metal is now doing rap. So that's what when I acted it out and everything in the rooms, that's what everyone loved. And then this watered down version of the show where now my two 40-year-old something brothers are now one person who's 18. That's not funny. I was like, whatever. Hopefully it goes. And I just get a check. It didn't go. So I love that storyline and that's great. And then also, but then it comes down to Che Diaz. They say that she's gained weight in the wardrobe department and she's sensitive about her body around Miranda. And so in the end, whether you're gay, straight, LGBTQIA, non-binary, whatever, you're still, I guess, a girl who doesn't want to be fat. Like she doesn't want to be fat. She doesn't feel good when she's fat. She doesn't like being told that she's fat. And she doesn't like that her clothes don't fit. So in the end, it doesn't matter. And I thought that was kind of a good storyline because she was like, I'm embarrassed to say that I feel shitty about the fact that I'm fatter than I want to be. It's just fact of life, you know? So now we get to Carrie, okay? And how can I say the horrible stand-ups? The stand-up joke that she does at the Comedy Store is so bad. She's like, nobody walks. I'm from New York. Nobody walks in LA. That is the oldest, hackiest joke. Awful. Like I said, the laziest. It's almost like these writers on the show are like, we are jealous of stand-ups and we are jealous of podcasters who are making their own way and doing great. And we're going to shit on their craft in this show because we're bitter that we're in this fucking writer's room and we're scared AI is going to take our job and we still don't have a deal with the networks and we're on strike. And they probably knew the strike was coming and they're like, I have a few friends that are fucking doing podcasts from their friend's house in Cabo. Like, I'm going to shit on these two industries. First, I'm going to write shitty jokes for Che Diaz. Their joke is nobody walks in New York. Nobody. The audience crying. They show a woman in the audience wiping away her tear that nobody walks in LA. And then she goes, I just booked an Uber to take me from my bathroom to my living room. That's her closer. That's what you always choose for your funniest moment. Dying laughter, crying. Of course, this show's a hit. You know, it's going to be such a hit for her TV show with Tony Danza playing her dad. So then, playing their dad. So then, that was awful. But then also, okay, that was a horrible Uber joke. Oh, and then also they show Miranda going to clean up the beach in Santa Monica. There's about 85 people there. There's so much seaweed. And then she's like putting seaweed in one bucket just to bring the bucket 4 feet over to a bigger bucket. Awful, lazy, and she loses her phone. And that was a stupid thing. And let me tell you, our beaches are like maybe polluted. They are not fucking that disgustingly and dirty. I remember there was an episode of Vanderpump Rules where one of the guys that got booted for, again, some awful racist tweet or something he did 5 years prior. He was like, "Oh, you guys, let's all go to the beach and clean up the beach," and there was, like, nothing to clean up. Anyway, so that was all dumb. Now let's get into Carrie. Carrie's boning the podcast producer of her podcast, Sex and the City. Again, this whole thing was to shit on it. She didn't want to do an ad. They had to do an ad. She didn't want to talk about her vagina on the ad. The boyfriend then is like, "Oh, I'm downloading a final draft to rewrite this ad." First, a final draft is when you write a script. It's when you write Che Diaz's hilarious pilot, and it's a program that, makes it so it's easy, so you can do exterior, interior, the way you write it. A 60-second ad that you're going to write yourself, you could just do in your notes section of your iPhone. Okay. So then she gets out the big computer and she starts writing, and they're like, "It's a deal breaker if you don't do this ad." Just when she decides she can do the ad, they come in, they say, "Oh, this isn't 2021 of podcasting anymore when everybody was killing it and people had money. We just got bought out and all these people are laid off. Your show's been canceled because you didn't do the vagina ad." And she walks out with a boyfriend / producer and she goes, "Well, could we try to sell it to another network?" And he's like, "Hey, it's not 2021 podcasting." Again, bitter writer who's listening to Juicy Scoop, so fucking jealous of me. And well, it's over and you didn't do that ad. And I was like, oh my God. So the show's been canceled, which I'm kind of thrilled about. So I'm okay with that. I don't think we need to see the podcasting. I don't think we'll ever see Bobby Lee again, who was her podcast host. And he was in an episode, the first episode, because his wife designed her dress. Oh, I did love the end of the first dress that she wore her wedding dress to the Met Ball. Loved that part of the show. So there you go, you guys. I will not stop watching it. I will not stop loving and hating it. And I can't believe that I find the most interesting storyline, the only one I care about, is Che Diaz. So you know what? People change. That's what I'm saying. That's what I believe in the world. When new information comes my way, I can change my mind. Just because I thought of something 3 years ago doesn't mean I feel the same way about it today. Okay. Speaking of the podcasting, Harry and Meghan continues. The CEO of UTA, which UTA did not do Meghan and Harry's Spotify deal for the podcasting. So he's like, they're untalented. He said they're untalented. She's an untalented audio entertainer. I guess that's what I'm calling now, an audio entertainer. So we don't know how much of the 20 million they got, but now they also got $100 million from Netflix. Of course, their documentary was huge viewership, huge. Whether you liked it or not, that was a big win for them. However, now the articles are coming out allegedly that they may not get their full 100,000, but I think they've gotten at least 50 of it. Oh, sorry, 50 million. They may not get their full 100 million. They may just go, "Hey, we don't like any of the other ideas that you've pitched. We don't like any other your contract. So anything else. So here's the end of your contract. We already paid you 50, but we're not going to pay you the other 50 million." That's probably what's going to happen. Some of the ideas that he had that first of all, for Spotify, they had to come up with other podcast ideas, which none of them they liked. And that's what they can also do in these contracts. There's probably something in there like, you have to come up with this stuff, but if we turn it down, we don't have to produce it. And therefore you don't get all the money. One of the alleged podcast ideas that Harry had was that he was going to interview people like Obama and Donald Trump about their childhood trauma, because he had such horrible childhood trauma being a younger brother, being the spare. And I was like, wow. I mean, honestly, that would have been kind of funny, but of course they said no. I don't think Donald Trump had childhood trauma, and Obama, I believe, was raised much as an only child. So he doesn't have a mean older brother either. So I guess he should have I think a better pitch would have been, I am only going to interview younger brother syndrome, people that suffered from younger brother syndrome and had a mean older brother that was between 2 and 4 years older than them and was like, "Don't act like you know me in high school," and was just like a dick. That could have been kind of fun, but once again, Harry's not funny. Now, her idea for Netflix, she was going to do a show. She wanted an animated show about a little girl who's inspired by historical female inspirational women. They said no to that. Also, animation is extremely expensive to produce. Extremely expensive, extremely hard, really hard to get done, years of pre-production. So animation is not the way to go. She really should have done, if she wanted to keep that money, she should have said, I'm going to go to celebrities' houses that also are raising rescue chickens. And I'm going to interview them and we're going to make an egg dish at the end. You're fucking welcome. I could have been one of those people. Okay. A little up on the sad submarine, they have just showed some of the submarine, the debris. As we know now, it appears to be an instantaneous explosion, which made me feel better because, when I was thinking about what it would be like to be down there, knowing that the possibility is that you're going to die and you have days and maybe people are sick and maybe people have diarrhea, like all of that. So to kind of know they didn't know what hit them. However, they did say, I think that they probably knew they were in trouble for a little bit. Very sad. The 19-year-old boy who was with his mother, his aunt said he didn't want to go and he was dreading going, but he decided to go as a gift to his dad. His own mother now has spoken and she said, no, I was supposed to go, but he wanted to go so badly, my son, that I let him have my spot. And he is like incredible at the Rubik's Cube and he wanted to like do some fun video, I guess, where he would solve the Rubik's Cube down at the Titanic. So sad. But interesting that there's two different stories, that an aunt is saying one thing and the actual mother is saying another. And the mom is being, calm. And anyway, just absolutely terrible, but interesting. I also saw, a conspiracy theory on TikTok of someone saying, this is probably like 5 days ago, once we knew that it had exploded. And then this guy was like, isn't it weird that we don't see any video of them getting into the submarine and posting like so excited to go down here? And I did think that was kind of weird, but then I thought, well, there is an iCloud, so it must exist, but maybe they don't want to show that because it is such a tragedy. Clearly we know, because they were trying to say, is this even real? Did this really happen? Of course it did. These are the victims. We know it. We've seen the debris. Now I'm going to get into my next story. So this is all over page 6. Theo Von, very funny comedian, very popular podcast. He had Roseanne Barr on, and there is a small clip of her saying the Holocaust wasn't real. 6 million Jews didn't die. 6 million Jews should die because they are the reason they're the ones that screw up everything. But it isn't true. It didn't happen. People think that she really feels that way. Other people who listened to the whole podcast said she is being sarcastic, being like, of course, when people come up with that crazy theory, it is absolutely not true. We know the tragedy of the Holocaust. But this is what's going viral. And I just think it's funny, interesting that it's on Theo Von's podcast, because for those of you that are old school Juicy Scoopers, I went on Theo Von's podcast when he had a partner. And it was called Allegedly. And I came on the show and I only knew Theo just a little bit from one time he was on Chelsea Lately and like just the comedy scene. And in that episode of his show, he asked me about working on Chelsea Lately. And I said, and he goes, I felt like everyone was scared working there. And I go, yeah, I was scared I'd lose my job every day. I was, scared up for my life every day that I'd lose my job. They took that little bit of it and then they gave it to TMZ, who then wrote about it, because back then we didn't have the YouTube video, had that as a headline, wrote about it for 5 days before the podcast was ever even available for you to listen to the full hour. Chelsea got word of that. She went on Howard Stern and said things that were not true. And I was trying to defend them. I never sold stories about her. It's an old story. I don't really want to get into it, but it was really, really awful. And it happened like 7 or 8 years ago. And I just think it's funny that it happened on Theo Von's podcast. And I'm seeing this happen again, where they're taking a clip out of context. But the good news is the episode is available. So you can listen to it and you can make your decision of what you think was she being sarcastic or was she being serious? You can do that. And then, but that was my situation and it wasn't great. But in the end, it all worked out. It all worked out because all this other stuff happened and I couldn't really work in this town anymore. And I had to build up Juicy Scoop because I had no other way of doing entertainment than just to do it on my own. So in the end, I thank Theo Vaughn for that. But at the time, it was extremely disheartening, horrible, having people think that I deceived a friend and I was awful and an awful employee and an annoying little twat. And I was like, I never did this. I never sold stories about anybody to any tabloids for money or for to be featured in it. Never, ever, ever happened. But that is what happened. And I had to so anyway, I don't know what's going to happen to Roseanne Barr. Probably not great. But like I said, I have not listened to the whole episode, but I probably will on my flight home. Kim and Kroy, the fighting continues. TMZ just released a 911 call that she called very calmly, Kim, saying, I'm letting you know I'm getting my son from a play date. My ex-husband to be, Kroy, said he was going to charge, that he was going to file kidnapping charges for our son because I arranged a play date with a kid that he's played with for a long time. And the mom is my friend, but he is being so insane, Kroy. He's saying that my friend has kidnapped my son. My son is so traumatized by all of this. I'm going to pick up my son, but I'm just putting it on record that he did this. Well, TMZ got the 911 call. Obviously, somebody in her camp let us know it because when you do hear her, you're like, oh God, these divorce petty fights, these two people, you feel bad for the kids. He has since said, I thought he was going to be like, please, that wasn't true. He admits that that was true. Kroy does. He said, but I don't approve of this mother. That's not cool either, dude. Like, you cannot be one of those divorced couples that are like, I don't want this person around my kid or this person. I mean, unless they're a convicted pedophile, you're going to have a hard time once you're officially divorced saying, I don't want this girlfriend of yours around my child or this boyfriend of yours around my child or whatever, unless there's real evidence that they are a danger to your kids. So this is just a big nightmare. Kevin Costner divorce continues. Wow. So Christine has been married to him for 18 years, but there's a prenup. Part of the prenup that she signed in 2004 was, if we break up, you're to get out of the marital home within 30 days. Well, the marital home is in Carpinteria, which is a beautiful place in just like right before Santa Barbara. It's on the beach and it costs like millions of dollars a year just to run. And that's where they had a couple other properties on it where this guy was renting a property. And there was a little bit of a rumor, did Christine have something going on with this renter? And he has since said, no, I had never had anything inappropriate going on with Kevin Costner's ex-wife. So she gets all her stuff together and writes this letter of why she needs at least $248,000 a month in child support for the three kids who are 13, 15, and 16. And she goes through all of it. We go on these vacations. We invite our friends and family. We go on private jets. We have private school. We have all these activities. We have gifts. We have caterers, chefs. This is how we live. And I and my kids are entitled to continue living that way. He made $19 million a year, Kevin. He has his place in Aspen. And she said, oh, the Aspen makes a lot of money because he can rent the Aspen place out for $250 in a week at the height of the season. So he can pay me more. And even with the $248,000 a month, it still is only covering about 60% of what we really do spend with my children each month. So she is trying to get as much as possible and obviously doesn't want this thing that she signed 18 years ago to be part of the deal. Meanwhile, Lenny and Lisa, that prenup's a joke. That prenup is like, get out of the house. This is Real Housewives of Miami. Get out of the house. You can't live there. But I will pay you $2,000 a year after we divorce to go towards your retirement fund. I mean, that one is so I am not an expert on prenups and how much they hold, but I would think once there's more than a decade of being married, multiple kids, obviously the person that signed that prenup is going to not be in such a horrible position versus someone who signs a prenup and is gone and, 2 years or something. Meanwhile, speaking of prenups and short marriages, Caitlyn Jenner just posted a photo on her Instagram with a photo of Caitlyn as Bruce at Chloe's wedding to Lamar. And that was the photo that was posted to say, I love being your stepfather. It's the ultimate, gift. I met you when you were 4. Happy birthday, Chloe. And it was kind of interesting because people are like, oh, it's interesting that this is the photo. Other people said that might be the last photo they have together. I mean, that's kind of shocking if that is the last photo they have together, but maybe it is. Or maybe that was the easiest one to find because Caitlyn is of a certain age, maybe doesn't have it like filed. I mean, I always feel like whenever it's one of Chris's kids' birthdays, it's like all these photos lined up. I mean, she must have someone that's like doing that and organizing it and being like, okay, tomorrow is Kim's birthday. These are the photos you shared last year. These are the photos I put together to share for this year. Okay, let's not do these 2. Let's do these 18. Do a slideshow, move it along. Like those organized things. Sometimes when it's someone's birthday and I want to like post, I'm like, oh, I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know where to find this photo, whatever. But thought that was kind of interesting. All right, you guys, I'm very excited to tell you that I still have some hilarious topics left that I recorded when Brandy and Julie were in studio with me, and that's going to be the rest of the show. And then of course on Friday I'll have a very juicy Patreon to get you through the fun long weekend that's happening for 4th of July, and that is at heathermcdonald.net. So now for more with Brandy and Julie. Thank you.
Heather McDonald has got the juiciest scoop. When you're on the road, when you're on the go, Juicy Scoop is the show to know. She talks Hollywood tales, her real life Mr. Segment serial data and serial sister. You'll be addicted and addicted fast to the #1 tabloid real life podcast. Listen in, listen up. Whoop whoop. Heather McDonald, Juicy Scoop.
Tori and Dean.
Oh no.
Now, this is one that I don't know if it's totally true or not. He did a post saying, it's with, a heavy heart and this and that. Then, no, we're not getting divorced. Then the latest one is Dean McDermott solemnly moves things into a storage days after Tori's spelling. And then someone said, is he moving or is this like the Ariana sponsored move? Did you see during Vanderpump, they showed Ariana moving stuff and then it turned out it was just some moving business and she wasn't moving out of the house she shares with Tom. So I don't know if they're really getting divorced or not, but it's a lot of cheating allegations is what the latest thing is.
That Dean cheated.
Yes, like there's cheating stuff. So who knows?
I don't know anything about them.
Well, who cares? Kevin Costner's divorce. Now, the latest on this kind of juicy. He's got this $80 million thing in Aspen. That's not what they're fighting over. What they're fighting over is the $125 million house in Carpinteria, Santa Barbara that she lives in with the kids 13, 15, and 16 or something.
You want to stay in California?
He said, based on the prenup, you're to get out of that house. And he said, she's already spent $100,000 on my credit card. She's trying to ruin my life. I don't think her spending $100,000 on your credit card when you have an $80 million Aspen and 120, like trying to ruin your life. Her attorneys are like, we're not moving out of the house. I don't care that there was a prenup 17 years ago that said she would if you broke up. We're not. Meanwhile, the juicy part from The Sun is he had this like tech guy living in some other rental house on their property or whatever. And they allegedly, the wife spent a lot of time with him, the guy. But then they got in an argument, the wife and him, and he wanted him off the property. And he's like, no, I signed a lease for a year. But in the end, he left 3 months early from the lease. So my question is, was there something happening where there was a relationship and then she got mad at him and was like, get rid of him? I would like to hear from that guy who rented the property. But
it was
he's
Kevin
being
that
a real
cheated, right, on the show, which is why they're
on the show. Oh, with someone on the show,
right?
That's a rumor too,
because he's no longer on the show, which is a huge, insanely huge hit.
Yes,
and
but we don't know why, right?
But that's like the implication is that
are you a Yellowstone watcher?
I'm not because I don't like Westerns, but it has been recommended to me every
I
hour
know.
since it started.
I know. Maybe we just watch it.
Maybe.
We
Maybe we
You
all
can't go
discuss
anywhere
it.
without somebody saying it's their favorite show that's ever been made.
I think we should start watching it.
Okay.
Do you like Westerns?
If people say, it's not a Western like 1951 with like bang, bang, bang. I mean, it's like,
It's like a ranch.
I think it's like they're rich people living in
Like Daddy
Yellowstone and
told
like
me.
cheating and killing people, right?
Well, if they kill people, then it's kind of like
The
a
comments are
Western
going to
story.
be, you don't realize what's out. Anyway,
I think
so,
Kevin Costner needs to be careful though, because in my opinion, first of all, I think that's not a good look. I think that's so tacky and gross. Like, you need to get out, sir. You're the philanderer, and I don't care what's been proven. Leave your children where they are. Leave her
well,
where she is.
unless he's like, no, bitch, you were cheating with the renter,
Right?
and
But she's
I'm
the
going
one
to
who
hold you
filed.
to this prenup because my 2 other wives screwed me over, and I don't care. I'm not saying you have to be in an apartment in Carpinteria. I'm saying just get out of the $125 million house, and you guys can live in a $10 million house.
Who would want to do that?
Not me.
No.
Not Lisa and Lenny from Miami. She doesn't want to leave her $50 million
No.
for
10
for
million?
a
What is that, an
three.
apartment?
Lenny wanted her to go from the $50 million house to a $3 million.
No.
Well, a $3 million house in Miami isn't going to get you on the water.
No. That's like physically impossible to do after you've been in a $50 million house.
And she's in a $125 million. So what is he saying that he wants her to go out into?
He probably wants her to go off to Colorado. You know, because that huge property.
Oh, he doesn't want her in Aspen.
Oh, that's true.
No, that's just an extra thing he owns on the side. He wants her out of the carpenter. But I'm like the argument as the attorney working for her. I would be
Yes.
like, not only is it the kids' home, they go to school there.
Yes.
Like, we're just not moving.
That's why I think it's not a good look. And I mean, there's been plenty of blind items about Kevin Costner that weren't so blind, that he has been unfaithful. And there's a very famous one, and this is obviously alleged, and it was a blind item, about him involved in some very shady, skanky sex acts, like overseas.
Like what? Allegedly.
I mean, honestly, it's like, we don't want to, it was illegal. And he, you know, that fixer that went to jail that did all that shit to Nicole Kidman, that
Yeah.
famous fixer guy. And he was one of the people that he fixed for was Kevin Costner. And he buried a full thing, like a statutory thing overseas. That's the allegation. And I would just be careful if I were him, like, take your Yellowstone money and all the rest of your piles and piles and piles of money and, like, be the bigger person, be a class act, let your kids live where they live. It's Santa Barbara. It's not like it's around here.
Well, I just think with her situation, whether she cheated or not, if he wasn't pleasant and he cheated on her, when you're the third wife and you're 18 years younger than your husband, you think there is no way this old crotchety guy is going to ever cheat on me. And the first 10, 12 years were probably seamless. They probably got along great. They had the kids. Everything was great. It's probably only in the last few years when the Yellowstone started that then the kids are older. They start they're not spending time together. They start being mean to each other.
And
He
had a resurgence.
Some cheating on either side.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got a resurgence. So he started to become a dick.
Yeah.
And he's crotchety. And like, so
And
he's
he
just
probably
not
thinks
as
she's
fun.
crotchety, even though she's 32.
No, she's like
I know, but still.
41, I think.
Yeah, it was
But
probably
still.
one second she turned 40. He was whatever.
Yeah. So you know what? It's not all that fun. This woman accidentally super glued her eyes shut. She mistaked a bottle of nail glue for eye drops. So she thought her eye drops. And anyway, I had something. Anyway, she turned to be okay. She went to the hospital. She's fine. But it reminds us of the girl that used the Gorilla Glue on her head. Do you remember that? For a hairspray substitute or something. She tried to keep her wig down. And she put Gorilla Glue on her wig. Anyway, that was really bad. It reminds me of, this has happened more than on one occasion, and I'm embarrassed to say it, but I'm going to tell you guys because it's juicy scoop.
Okay.
Peter and I have separate sinks, and they're like separated by like a tub area. And I have my own toothpaste and stuff, but I run out just like I do Q-tips. And I always walk over to his side and I take whatever I want. And I guess he had a rash or something, but I went and put what I thought was toothpaste on my toothbrush, and it was Desitin.
Wow.
It's
Just
like
what babies
cortisone.
use for a diaper rash. But it seems to work good on whatever the fuck he had going on.
It must have been like minty or not.
No,
or
no.
it
like,
tastes
like
like
hot.
it tastes like just paste.
It's not icy
I-
hot.
Oh, it's
no,
not icy
and I'm
hot?
like,
No.
no, it's like a cream. It looks just like a toothpaste thing.
Oof.
And it has happened like on 5 different occasions over the years. Like
Oh
I
my
did not learn my
gosh.
lesson.
It's like a cortisone-based thing. Like
Oh
people
my
might just have like a
God.
rash or something.
Yeah.
He has
And
chocolate
I'm like,
like Adele.
Yeah.
brushing my teeth. Yeah.
Oh.
And then
I've
you're
never
like,
done that.
how long? And you're like, what the fuck is this? And then you walk
Yeah.
back over and you're like, great.
And then I'm just horrified. Horrified. Demi Lovato said she got tired of using they, them pronouns. Said it was absolutely exhausting. She said, I'm constantly having to educate people and explain why I identify with those pronouns. It was absolutely exhausting. I'm like, well, it might be exhausting for us too. But, and she said, having access to the women's bathroom, even though I don't completely identify it with it, like you only have 2 options, male and female. I feel like, none of it makes sense to me. I just think it has to change. Anyway, she said everyone messes up pronouns at some point, so it's just all out of respect. Yeah, but now you've stopped. Now
So
she
now
stopped.
we're all confused.
I just think that I'm not surprised by this. The other girl, Courtney Stodden, who was the 16-year-old child bride, said she was a they them for a minute and then just stopped. So I don't know. Listen, whatever you want, I just predict that this is not going to stick.
In general. the
In general,
pronouns.
I look, I think a lot of people are going to be whoever they want to be in the future, but I think the they them thing, in my prediction, it's just not really taking off or working for a number of reasons, and I think people will start to abandon it.
Like it's not sustainable.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
I just
it's just
don't.
not.
I just don't see it like being around 5 years from now.
Right. Taking off like camel toes do. or
Right.
whatever.
Camel toe completely took off.
Totally took off. But let me tell you this,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
So gender neutral bathrooms exist, so
Yeah,
that's a thing.
everywhere,
We
more
don't
than
need to
not.
worry about it.
Yeah.
Which is great, good, fine. But I can say this for
And
me
that should
personally.
continue.
And
'cause
that should
that's great.
continue. Gender neutral
I-
bathrooms
I-
are chef's kiss. They're
And
the best.
the way to go is just individual stall. Anyone
Individual
goes.
stall.
Guys don't have to wait longer. Girls
Right.
don't have to wait longer. You just wait
Exactly.
and you're alone. Shut the door, lock it. You're by yourself.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you know what? On occasion,
Yeah.
like I did the other night when we went out, we were at a bar. I had to poo. You know what I
Yeah.
did? Went to the men's room. You know why?
She does this a
Because
lot,
I
Mama.
love to poo in the men's room. I say, that's for you. Bye.
And people, she's
Okay.
pooing at bars. Get ready for our
I
dinner.
had to
Heather.
do it. IBS. If I had to go poo at our dinner, I'll go to the men's room.
I love
They don't
that.
care.
I love that.
You know what I mean? Nobody talked to me. Nobody said anything to me, whatever. I can go wherever I want. Because at the end of the day, when you really think about it, you're a free person. Go where you want. I go where I want.
Yeah.
I poo in the men's. I pee in the ladies.
We were driving back from Arizona, and Drake went to the boys' room, and I went to the girls' in a Lowe's while we were charging the Tesla. And he goes,
all
Mom,
of that. Just all of that.
he goes,
Okay?
Mom,
Just cut that.
can I
clip.
ask you a question about being a girl? And I said,
Oh.
I love that you want to know what it's like to be a girl, you know? Because there are times when they were like, when they were little, and my younger son goes, Mom, what's a tampon? And my older son said, it's like a Band-Aid for your vagina. And I'm like, oh, that's such a good explanation, you
It's
know?
cute,
And
yeah.
like, so anytime I'm like, let me tell you what it's like, you know? I go, yeah, what do you want to know about what it's like to be a woman? And he's like, Mom, how many times do you go to a public bathroom in a girl's bathroom and it just like smells like your nostrils want to escape inside of your head and you want to kill yourself? And I go, probably about 2% of the time, 2-3% of the time.
Mhm.
He's like, well, it's about 75 for men. And it's so disgusting. And so I put it on Reels, we did it. And the comments are so hilarious where people say guys save up for it at work. I don't know.
Mm. That's why.
Girls don't want to do it in public. There's
Exactly.
you know,
That's right. Which is why I go to the men's.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
I
that
think
75%.
maybe Julie was at that Lowe's before you guys got there.
Yeah, blew it up.
Maybe.
I blew it up. Probably.
But
Probably.
save it up for Heather's birthday dinner.
Okay.
please.
Yeah, I'm
Okay?
gonna save it up.
Um,
I'm gonna save it up.
Liz Hurley is starring in an erotic movie directed by her 21-year-old son.
No.
And
God, they look
so
alike.
it
Jesus.
is about, it's not out yet. It's called Strictly Confidential. And it's about a woman unraveling the mystery of her best friend's death, which includes intimate scenes between Liz's character and another woman, directed by her 21-year-old son, Damien. By the way, very young to be a director. Anyway, also, Damien takes most of his mother's bikini Insta photos. Well, so do my sons.
Yeah.
But I don't think first of all, I don't think they're good enough to be directors. But if anyone wants to put
Your
me
daughter
in a
is.
movie, whether my son, my
Yeah.
daughter could. But if anyone wants to put me in a movie with me going, even if I have to make out with a girl, being that, maybe that'll get me past my phobia of women not thinking I'm hot. I will take whatever movie it is, whether it's directed by my son or her son. He's gorgeous, though. I think he might be.
Yeah.
Is he gay? I mean, he's stunning.
I always think he's beautiful. He was like gorgeous when he was like 12, like absolutely stunning.
He's like the best looking guy I've ever seen in my life.
He looks like her.
Now
Exactly.
Ugh.
she's gonna be naked, and I'm gonna want to see that. And it's a erotic movie, but she's doing just like sex scenes with women. Or are we gonna get guys too? I mean,
It
I will
sounds
definitely
like
watch
just
this.
women for now.
I'm watching this. She's the one who like invented, my like post 40 diet, which is all wine and like a raisin a day.
That's what she said she did to stay
Yeah,
fit? I
she
love
was
it.
like, I have to have wine, so like I eat like
I drink my dinner.
yeah, and so I'm like, okay, I'll have one raisin, and like Elizabeth Hurley, and
I always think of when she was, what's his name? Hugh
Grant.
Grant, main girlfriend, when he was caught picking up Divine Brown, a prostitute, back when prostitutes would have to walk on the street.
the good old days.
You had to get an outfit together.
Yeah.
You couldn't just stay in your bedroom and take a shot of your
Mm-mm.
crotch on OnlyFans and
Mm-mm.
DM a couple guys and say, hey, want to see more for $10?
Mhm.
No, you had to get out there and work. No one
Yeah.
wants to work anymore.
No.
Just like Kim Kardashian said,
No.
no one wants to work anymore. Anyway, then he got that, and then, then she did have to break up with him. She
I
probably
always thought
knew
that
he-
was sexy that he
she
did
probably,
that personally.
she probably knew he fucked around with women, and then she was like, oh fuck, now I have to break up with you.
Yeah, because
so
you got
many
a
times
hooker.
guys cheat,
Yeah,
and then the other person is like, like Khloe Kardashian's probably like, really, Tristan? I would have stayed with you.
yeah,
But now I'm not a feminist if I do.
yeah.
Like,
But aren't they back together? So
supposedly or supposedly not. I don't know.
Because it's exactly like you're saying.
so
right. Because
she
we're
doesn't-
all like, yeah, when you're a public person and your man cheats, if you choose to stay with them, I mean, unless you're Hillary Clinton or whatever, people don't.
Hey, I rolled at that for a good decade.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, really? That's so tragic.
that's why my
so
mother
I'm so
hated her.
I'm so judgy about
That's why
that.
who?
My parents, who are liberal, hated Hillary Clinton because she
stood with,
because she-
stuck with
and
him.
then my mother's traditional, okay, in every way, and so she just like she couldn't stand that Hillary Clinton at least didn't say something about it or do something about
Right.
it, and then made women feel bad because she stayed with him, but then said, "I'm not a housewife who stays home and bake cookies,"
right.
and she thought she was a hypocrite, and I was like, oh, okay, well,
But then
yeah,
I was like,
okay.
well, maybe she's the ultimate feminist, where she's like, oh, no, he's a piece of shit, and I've always known it. But my plan is to become
Yeah,
the
to use
president
him.
or run
Right.
for the president one day.
Right.
So I don't care.
That's what people think.
I don't need to find another man. I'm not going to divorce him so it pleases you, ladies making cookies.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who
So
knows?
there is something
There's
to-
lots of ways to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of shark
Oh,
attacks lately.
sweating.
Have you guys know? Okay, one was my friend told me my friend's daughter graduated from Yale with a girl that just lost her foot. Did you hear about that?
Was it on the East Coast?
It was Turks and Caicos. She was
Oh.
21 and she was snorkeling, and she was a runner and an athlete. She's gonna be okay, but the foot is gone.
Oh no.
Then this woman, she is 73. She's gonna be okay, but
Look at her. She is fit.
Oh my god.
she was a
73.
diver in the Bahamas.
Wow.
She said, I could see the predator thrashing in the water, and I hit it with my hand to scare it off.
Oh, yeah.
There was blood everywhere. I was dying. I was going to bleed to death. I was afraid I was going to die. I was in severe pain. Anyway, I guess it went after her leg, so it didn't take it off while she was in the water, but she has decided to amputate it. And she said that they've never, she's a professional diver, and she said they have never shown any aggression towards divers in the past. They would just swim around us. We'd take pictures of them. They never threatened us. I never felt like I was in danger. So, but she said, I don't think it's going to hold me back. And she's not mad at them for it.
I mean, you just went snorkeling.
I know.
And you said it was the most beautiful snorkeling ever, and I have it on my bucket list.
I
and now I'm
snorkel
like-
all the time, but I feel like there's been a lot of shark attacks.
I think that my pointless, non-scientific theory is that whatever's going on with, like, you know, just pollution and, you know, water runoff, etc., whatever's getting into the water is like giving them a little crazy. There's a couple, like, these sharks are they're getting violent because of whatever toxins are in the water, and we can't. I saw a baby shark far away when I was snorkeling in Hawaii, and I was like, oh my god. Like, I know
definitely sure baby sharks won't do anything.
Well, it was a little one, so I don't know if it was a baby or just a certain kind of shark that was little. But I was so scared, like, I'll just quit, like I quit skiing. Like, I'll just quit.
I do feel like something's going on with the sharks.
So are you going to continue to snorkel?
Yes.
I mean, you're going to Cabo.
I'm going to.
Yeah.
Okay, do you know about the crickets?
Yes.
The crickets are fucking terrifying. I had a couple crickets stuck in a wall in my house. I didn't even see them in person. And
Hear them.
I was going insane.
Yes.
So there's this place in Nevada that the crickets have taken over this town. And I mean, like, they're everywhere.
It's beyond. There was like a warning that to the people in the area that were like, try not to pile up the Mormon crickets, they're called, because it makes the streets too slick. And there's so many of them in the streets, so when you're driving over them, it's creating an oil.
Oh.
It's creating an oil in the street because of all the...
Oh my God, it's
Do
like
they have
hydroplane.
any idea, besides that the aliens brought them?
I know shit.
Why are they?
I couldn't find it yet, but we'll find
a
it. I'm
Mormon
sure
cult.
it's like those cicadas that come into, that live for 17 years underground and then come out. There must be a thing where they just do this I don't know what their cycle is, but it
how
must
do
be
we,
this.
I mean, I feel so bad for these people.
Can you
Like,
imagine?
they must be in their homes
Yes.
and stuff. There's no way you can keep them out of your home.
I
No.
can't even
even
imagine
saw it.
this. Have you seen them close up?
What, do they look different than a normal cricket?
They're a little bulbous. They're a little more bulbous. And I have had because I have a cat, and he likes to bring crickets in. The big, like, Jiminy cricket. The
Okay.
huge crickets.
Green. Okay.
They're brownish.
Okay.
But they look just like Jiminy Cricket, and they're enormous. And he holds it in his mouth.
Praying mantis that looks like Jiminy Cricket.
No, the
Oh.
praying mantis is, and he brings them into the house, and then he drops it down, and he's like, "Woo!" And then that thing's like,
Was Jiminy Cricket was gay, right?
so gay. He was like gay cricket. He was like one of the
Yeah.
first
I think he was
And-
one of the first.
gay crickets.
Yeah.
Although those are gay, they're here for gay pride.
That is what it is.
They're here for gay cricket pride. Yeah,
And
you're
Nevada,
like,
I mean,
They're
said with-
running the streets.
yeah, they're
with all
running the
due,
streets.
Nevada is like the Florida of the West Coast.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems like something that would happen.
I
in
don't know, but
Florida.
the aliens,
It does.
when the supposed aliens appeared in Las Vegas.
Recently,
You don't know about the aliens in the guy's backyard?
specifically in Nevada.
Yeah, in Las Vegas. And then the house has now been, like, covered. Like, it looks like it's like, for
It's like E.T.
Like termites?
Yeah, but it looks like an ET thing.
I met a guy recently, I've known him for a little bit, who has systematically started to, or he believes, not only was he taken by aliens, but
Okay.
that they've been talking to him,
Okay.
and he is currently now building
Uh-huh.
something specific for them that he told them to build in his backyard. And it is something such as I believe it's some sort of rejuvenation chamber, or a chamber where he then talks to them.
Who is this guy? Where does he live?
He lives in LA, in
Okay.
LA. It's here. And he showed me pictures of what he's building. And
Okay.
it's literally like he's doing Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He currently has, it's absolutely unbelievable.
Will it rejuvenate our lower face?
He said that, yeah. mhm.
Because if so, we might want to
He said-
take a pop into it.
Only people with camel toes are allowed in, and it's going to make it smooth, so that all you have is just the smooth opening.
My biggest fear is getting abducted by aliens simply because you come back and no one believes you. I mean, I feel bad. There's people I've met, too, like as kids, that they think it happened to them as kids, and now they're just stuck in this prison and hell of people being like, "Oh, that's sad. You're crazy." But they do get abducted.
Yeah, you're right.
And then and no one believes you. And it's like, no, I swear, And then it's like, no one believes you. I just don't abduct me because I can't deal with that.
Well, apparently according to him,
Well, if they do, I'm going to watch your Dateline about how you went
Yeah.
missing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
And it's
good.
going to put me in a lot of ease.
Good.
the best one, the best unsolved mysteries is the town in the Berkshires that saw the aliens. Have you watched that?
No, what's that?
Go immediately. It's on Netflix. It's on the new Unsolved Mysteries.
But
I
not
can't
the
remember the
newest
name.
season.
This first season.
Okay.
And just look for something that's like aliens or
Okay.
Berkshires
And what's
or
the
whatever.
story?
An entire town in the Berkshires in the 70s all saw the same fucking thing. Lights in the sky came down, and all of them said that they then had an interaction with an alien.
But that was for sure. Richard bought me the Blue Stone Manor. But I do see Richard's balloon, and I say, "Hi, Richard. Hi."
Yeah.
I cooked, I cleaned, I made it nice for the aliens and Luann and Sonia and Ramona. And I have my whiskey and my bourbon. That's amazing. Berkshires will always be
Amazing.
Dorinda's land.
And she
but
was there.
No, but it would have been
Yeah.
before. It would have been before she got that house, because she got the house like in the 90s.
But she
But
grew
she grew
up
up
there.
there.
She
Yeah.
grew
Then we
up
do have to
there.
ask her about this.
Yes, that was apparently there. It was like a hugely famous thing. It's absolutely bonkers that they all, whatever happened, they all experienced it. And
Wow.
It's
crazy.
generations. It'll be
It's-
like a grandmother, a mother, and a son who all recall the same night they were driving down the street. They all saw what they saw, woke up on a different street with the grandma behind the wheel who couldn't even drive any longer. And she was behind the wheel, the mom was in the back seat, and the son was like in the passenger. But they were 5 streets over and the mother was driving. You know, it's like they all remember it. All of them. There's paintings. It was on the radio. Now the government took the radio because someone on the radio was like, holy shit. It was all over the town. But they got rid of most of it. There's people who have like paintings and things from that
It's
night.
like, it's crazy.
It's good.
Well, with the guy that saw the people in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
They're like, why, they have a little bit of iPhone footage or whatever but there's nothing, no one's hearing from these people anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And you're telling me that a family of 4, like you call 911 to say something was in your backyard, and then the cop comes over and has his body cam, and he's like, I'm not gonna lie, I just had a partner say he saw something fall out of the sky. And then now the guy's like, I'm fine, it's whatever. But he said they were like 8 feet tall with big eyes. Two of them in the back.
And they always describe them the same.
The same. They do always describe
They
them the
do.
same.
And it's 8 feet tall with big eyes.
Yeah, and the other one we saw, the other insane documentary that was these kids in
It's
South
called The
Africa.
Phenomenon.
Oh, I
And-
know about the South
Yeah.
African thing where these
Yeah.
kids all saw.
No,
yeah.
those
saw
kids didn't say they were 8 feet because they made them. They
'Cause
were.
they were
These
so
ones
small.
were little for the kids, but they had the big eyes,
And they were gray.
and the eyes looked in my eyes, and they go and they tell them. And what did they tell you? They said that technology. I mean, this was like in the 80s. There's video of
Yeah.
it, that technology was gonna get too advanced, and it's like in the eyes, and they were just like telling them with eyes. They didn't speak, and the kids.
A
weren't
lot
scared.
of people think that the aliens are us, but the future.
Oh, they
like
come
that-
back to say hi.
No, that we're
Oh.
all the same thing,
I
but it's
see.
like us
A
in
warning.
the future coming.
Keep coming back to.
that are us in the future.
Well, mine better be like
Huh.
cute.
Well, that would make so that we would evolve then. So human beings are going to evolve into
Right.
telepathic, like eyes, and the bodies are going to change, and blah
Yeah.
blah blah blah. Well, I mean, according to this guy, they are going to eradicate 73% of the population.
Well,
They already started with COVID.
besides calling nurse Natalie to help you with your lower facelifts,
Right.
So because hopefully we'll pay them.